It's the way I normally do it.
You just happened to catch me today where I was clean, so it worked out all right.
Yeah. We're not wearing our pajamas today, are we?
No, I had some other things going on, so it worked out great.
Very good. I know you've got some sales meetings this afternoon that we scheduled for you, and I think we're all happy about that. And
yes, dude, we're happy about that.
So I just wanted to quickly take a few minutes for the people that are going to be watching the webinar, just to ask you about the PI conference that we recently did.
Sure.
Helped you with in Nashville. I know that was a pretty big one. And so just can you quickly tell me how did it work out, right? What did you guys? We had several planning sessions about how we were going to do it.
Correct.
We had a strategy and a plan going forward. And, just walk me through how that worked out for you. What do you think was the win, and where do you think you could improve to next time?
Sure, absolutely. Well, the conference itself was a big success. I think a lot of the pre-work that we did is what led to that success, to be perfectly honest. I think the emails that we sent out prior to the conference, inviting them to come by the booth and identifying what the booth number was, what our message was. I think that was super helpful for driving traffic to the booth. But I also think that it was very strategic what we did as far as inviting them to the reception that we hosted, because they actually had access to the information prior to going, so they were able to kind of formulate their own agenda for the week, and it was a smashing success. We had about 100 people come to the reception, and I owe all of that to the pre-work that we did with our outbound email campaign to try to drive attendance. But also the booth, I think, was helpful. The communication that we structured around driving people to come by and see us at the booth, I think, was helpful, because we scheduled meetings prior to the conference ever beginning at the booth. So people actually had us on their radar long before they ever arrived in Nashville for the PI conference. And I think that really helped us get a good understanding of what the audience was looking for, but it helped recognize us as far as all these other vendors and who they wanted to come see. I think that was very instrumental, but I think it was 100% due to the pre-work that we did around the campaign and the marketing and all of the emails that we did.
So we gave away an iPad.
And, I think that was a big hit too. I mean, certainly there were a lot of people that were just, in the exhibit hall and going around looking for the pencils and the notepads and things like that. And I fully understand that. But I think giving away an iPad was a big attractant for people there in Nashville, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I don't think anyone gave anything that valuable or that, attractive away. So we had people that certainly came by the booth with the purpose of signing up for the iPad, who came back 3 or 4 times wanting to know, had we done the drawing for the iPad? So, I mean, I think that was a real attractive feature for the educators that attended the conference, and we continue to do it at conferences that came after PI as well. I think it's a really good door prize, booth prize that we have.
Do you think it's a better idea to spend money on Frisbees, pencils, and T-shirts, or on a one meaningful gift that you communicate just to your ideal target prospects?
Me personally, I think it's better to identify something such as an iPad and promote and drive to that particular registration than coming around getting pencils and Snuggies and things like that. Personally, it worked a lot better for us.
And the reception afterwards, I know that you had a reception.
We did.
You even invited some folks to dinner with you afterwards, didn't you?
Oh, actually, a following day. The reception was a standalone event that we did, but we had 100 attendees to the reception, and I would say 80% of the people that attended learned of it through our marketing campaign. Mm-hmm. Certainly we had people that came by the booth over that first day, and we invited them, but most people had us on their schedule long before they ever arrived in Nashville to come by our booth, but also to come to that reception. And it was we tried to make it informal as possible, but it was scheduled to be, I think it was 6 to 8 was our original plan. We had people that stayed till 9:30 and 10 o'clock, and it wasn't necessarily talking with us. They did talk with us, but I mean, it was kind of a non-threatening environment that they brought their members from their district. their colleagues from other districts, and they just sat around and they talked about, in our particular case, they talked about what they were doing with behavior and how they were handling in their particular district. And it gave us an opportunity to go through the meeting room. We had it kind of in a meeting room in a hotel and answer questions that actually came up as a part of their dialogue with each other. And I think that was very important. We didn't have to give a presentation as much as just be attuned to the room and what conversations were occurring and be there to answer questions. And I think that led to a half a dozen meetings that followed the conference with people wanting us to come back to their district and meet with their behavior teams to talk about how insights could actually be impactful for their district. So that was a fantastic thing. The way that we ended the week was a dinner. We invited, I think we had 12 different school districts that on the very last night, we actually went out and we had a dinner in Nashville. And that was nice as well, but it certainly was not as impactful as the reception, because I mean, when you've got that many people in a restaurant and you're dealing with the ordering of, the foods and things like that, it wasn't the same, but it was a very successful dinner. And I contribute much of it to our pre-work that we did before the conference ever started.
So that's a couple of different times that your ideal target prospects have gotten to see your hospitality and had an experience with, the company, the message. And I think that's, one of the things that distinguishes you from any of the competitors that were there.
I agree.
I've been to a lot of trade shows. I know you have too. And how do you think that your success was compared to some of the other people around? You think they were a little envious?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think that there was no time at all we didn't have a half a dozen people or more just standing around our booth waiting to have a conversation with myself or my rep about what Insights was. So I think there was no doubt some jealousy among vendors that were around us for sure. But, I contributed to being kind of ahead of the game. And our planning that we did actually bore fruit because we were on people's, schedules and radar long before they ever arrived. But yes, there was a lot of jealousy, especially when we drew for the iPad. We probably had 70 people around our booth when we drew for the iPad. So that was pretty funny as well.
Now, I know that your ideal target prospects are district administrators or behavioral specialists. And so how many of those people that were standing around for the drawing for the iPad were people that you weren't interested in, weren't your ideal target prospects?
Well, Jeff, we're interested in everyone, but I would say that probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70 people that actually came by the booth were members of our target audience.
Right. And that's,
to be perfectly honest with you.
And I realize that, part of being in that public space is you want to put forward a good brand image and you want to be personal and available to anybody to answer questions, because those people who are not considered the ideal target prospects are still influencers.
Correct.
Making process and often going to be end users. And they're going to, you want to put your best foot forward there. But at the end of the day, this is a sales event, right? It's a sales event. We're trying to get opportunities. So how do you feel about the opportunities that you booked through this?
Oh, we're very excited about it. We've been following up for the last 2 weeks. We've had probably 8 webinar demos, but here in the next 2 weeks, we've got 4 on-site demos with what we would consider to be large opportunities for us. So we're very pleased with the outcome of the PI conference, and we actually plan to replicate this strategy going forward in other conferences as well.
We will. Yep, and we're already doing that in some of the others, because I know this is a pretty heavy conference season for you guys.
It is. It seems like February, March are very heavy in conferences, especially for education.
Thank you. All right, Brian. So we've been on. I know you've got some meetings that we've scheduled for you, so you go do those, and I appreciate you taking time to talk to me today.
Well, Jeff, we appreciate you. We appreciate ProSales. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir.